WTOL 11 Plus, if you see something, say something. That's exactly what one group of students did today after they saw a student with a knife. Now the district superintendent is speaking out. Plus, tariffs are impacting industries and businesses around the country. Closer to home, if this is deflating news for a local bike shop, Chris?
Dan, we've had another day of mild spring-like feeling conditions, but here comes the lake breeze is now moving into the area. It will turn us sharply cooler as we get into Wednesday, but that won't last long. We could be talking record highs by the end of the work week. We'll preview that in my hour-by-hour forecast coming up.
Welcome into WTOL 11 Plus, News on Plus. I'm Dan Cummins. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday night. Let's take our look at our top local stories here. There's an investigation underway after an Anthony Wayne Junior High student brought a knife to school this morning. Sophia Perricone sat down with the district superintendent for details on the investigation.
Students at Anthony Wayne Junior High are being credited after stepping in during what the district called a safety incident on campus Tuesday morning.
This morning at the junior high school, we had students that shared with a teacher that they had seen a knife that another student had in the building.
Teachers then called law enforcement, and the 7th grader with the knife was taken off campus. Superintendent Kevin Herman says the students who reported the knife did what the district trains them to do. See something, say something.
We're very proud of the students and their response today. Again, their skills and what they've been trained to do allowed them the confidence to do just that today.
The incident comes just days after the district participated in See Something, Say Something Week, a nationwide movement teaching students the importance of speaking up when something feels off.
Whenever we practice any of our safety drills or go over safety protocols, it's all done in order to make sure that students are comfortable if they're ever in the situation in knowing what to do, and that makes them safer.
The district said the incident was resolved so quickly the school did not have to even be placed on lockdown. Toledo City Council members want to make it safer for kids to get to and from school. Toledo Public Schools conducting a study to assess where the program could be the most useful for high school students. According to the program, 28% of students across the district commute to school on foot or by bike. The program is focused on improving sidewalks while educating students on how to maintain their bikes.
It's a big undertaking, but we just want to make sure that safety is the #1 priority.
Where these high school students are actually working along professional bike mechanics and learning how to take care of their own bike, how to do a safety check, how to change a tire, how to adjust their brakes so they can keep their bikes maintained.
Over the last 10 years, the program has received over $2.2 million in infrastructure grants. Seneca County commissioners have voted against a proposal to build a new facility specifically for inmates in need of mental health support. Commissioners tell us they were part of a feasibility study looking into the new facility. They say the study showed the cost would be too much for the benefit to the community. While they are not building a new facility, commissioners are saying they are using the data from the study to improve mental health services for current inmates.
The study's been beneficial, creating awareness, creating a lot of discussion, and we're going to keep working on it. Yeah, so this is just a continuum of trying to make everything better.
According to a 2024 study by the National Alliance on Mental Health, about 63% of inmates with a history of mental illness do not receive treatment while in prison. Well, President Trump's raising tariffs on Canada. This comes after the province of Ontario placed a retaliatory tax on electricity exports to the U.S. This would be an additional 25% tariff, bringing it to 50% on all steel and aluminum coming into the U.S. from Canada. That starts tomorrow.
All he's asking for at the end of the day are fair and balanced trade practices, and unfortunately, Canada has not been treating us very fairly at all over the past several decades.
The stock market tumbled for a second day in a row as nervous investors raised concerns about the trade war and the economic impact of a looming partial government shutdown. The House is set to vote on a spending bill to fund the government through September. And tariffs put in place by the Trump administration are affecting all kinds of industries across the U.S., including at a local bike shop. Michael Sandlin has details.
That was my dad a long time ago. The Worsels have been in the bike business here in Toledo for nearly 80 years, and in that time, they've seen their fair share of economic instability.
Have you guys encountered a tariff situation like this where you're...
Hell yes.
So none of it's new.
I've been through everything.
Jill Worsel has been working here for the last 41 of those years. She tells me she's been keeping an eye on what these tariffs could mean for their stock. While Worsel says she didn't notice any price changes on their last set of shipments, she knows some of her products will definitely be hit.
Obviously, time will tell what's going to happen. The good thing is that some of the bicycles are made in Cambodia, Taiwan, Mexico, and things of that nature. A lot of the kids' bikes actually come in from China.
That's not their only Chinese product either. E-bikes are almost exclusively made in China. And Worsel says when they put in their next order, assuming the tariffs will hold, consumers will notice.
The unfortunate part is that it probably would be passed on to the consumer, because obviously if you're in business, you can't absorb all the cost.
And the hits don't stop either, with the Trump administration's 25% aluminum and steel tariffs on all countries set to go into effect on Wednesday. Worsel says that will also trickle down to people coming into their shop. She says it's set to be a difficult year, but Worsel says they've survived worse. And when the market has a downturn like this, maybe a bike isn't such a bad idea.
Obviously, we made it through the pandemic. And a lot of times when people, you have to tighten your belt a little bit, then people go back and they use their resources such as a bicycle. And you can do that for, riding your bike back and forth to work, for exercise.
With e-bikes likely to be hit, WTOL 11 reached out to VO, the company that owns the electric green scooters you see zipping around downtown Toledo. We'll update you on air and online when we receive a response from them. Thousands of federal workers have been laid off across the country after changes from the Trump administration, and now the state agencies in Michigan are adopting resources to help workers land their next gig. The director of Michigan's Unemployment Insurance Agency says the state doesn't have an official count of how many were lost in Michigan. The UIA rolled out a website specifically for federal workers who are searching for jobs.
Who are back on the job hunt.
There's some specific resources for the federal workers, like what specific forms they might need or that type of thing. And then the website goes on to help them connect with workforce development, help with the job search through like a Michigan Works office, and a bunch of resources, not only for the unemployment side, but also getting back to work.
The agency says it encourages federal workers to consider state government jobs. New leadership's taking the helm at the Toledo-Lucas County Health Department. Dr. Lawrence Munger has been appointed as the new medical director. He brings over 30 years of medical experience to his new role at the Toledo-Lucas County Health Department. His extensive background includes diabetes management, early disease intervention, obesity management, and addiction medicine. One thing he'll be focusing on is connecting people to doctors.
One of our focuses is going to be to try to help more people have primary care doctors, to try to connect all of the Toledo clinics, the ProMedicas, the Mercies, connect them with patients who don't have primary care doctors.
His expertise will play a crucial role in advancing the health department's efforts to promote preventative care, address health disparities, and strengthen community partnerships. If you've been putting off getting your real ID, now's the time to start getting your documents together. People who plan on flying will need to have a real ID to get through security starting May 7th. The Real ID Act was passed in 2005 following 9/11 and has faced years of delay. Real IDs have a star on the license. To get one, you have to bring documents with your full legal name, date of birth, social security number, proof of citizenship, and 2 documents showing your street address.
You can do that using a number of documents, things we all have, birth certificates, passports, utility bills, social security cards, things like that. But it does, it takes a little bit of planning ahead. So we certainly recommend people have a plan.
Ohioans have the option to get a real ID. Standard driver's licenses will say not for federal ID in place of the star. As the weather gets warmer, fishermen in the area getting set for the walleye run, really particularly in Maumee. But fishermen say the city hasn't been quite as welcoming this year as usual. Silver Barker brings us the latest.
The question is, where do I park my car? There's no parking place.
Maumee resident Brian Wu is looking forward to fishing in the Maumee River for some walleye, but he'll have to find a new parking spot.
park our car here for many years, and I'm surprised that this year there's a sign that says that we cannot park it on this site.
Signs that prevent street parking have been recently lined up along neighborhoods close to the Maumee River, and residents believe it's to combat the amount of people crowding the area for the popular walleye run.
I feel for the fishermen because I know it's a tradition. And
one resident who's lived in the neighborhood for 20 years but did not want to be on camera says while it's unfortunate, there are some issues he and other nearby residents have had in previous years during the event.
You know, they start parking here about 5 o'clock in the morning. They, really loud. They get the dogs rustled up, and it became a problem with the litter on the ground. There would be fishing hooks and sinkers and stuff that were on the ground. They would use the bathroom in people's yards.
Resident and fisherman Max Hill, who's lived in the area for nearly 5 years, says he hasn't had any bad experiences.
They've been coming here for years, most of them, and generally they're respectful and they're just here to have fun and go fishing.
But he is upset about the parking signs, as are other residents who say the signs send a negative message to fishermen.
Maybe 1 or 2 times that fishermen, and it could just have been an innocent mistake, they left some hooks in the grass right at the end of my driveway.
But overall, she says they're respectful and worries these signs will deter fishermen and impact the city's revenue. In part of a statement sent from the mayor of Maumee, the city makes it clear they welcome and value visitors to come enjoy the Maumee River. However, the goal with this restricted parking is to, quote, simply strike a balance between accommodating the influx of visitors and ensuring the daily lives of our residents are minimally impacted, end quote.
The city of Maumee also tells WTOL 11 in order to support both residents and visitors, they've added more than 100 additional parking spaces in the Uptown District the past few years. Parking is also available in the Side Cut Metro Park and along River Road. Chris?
One thing that we are certain to feel over the next 24 hours, and it's that cooler lake breeze, a familiar sight this time of the year, and it will turn us sharply colder for some areas. Highs close to 40 degrees near the lake shore, low to mid 40s just inland from the lake breeze, and mid to upper 40s in the Toledo metro. Still could eke out a few spots into the 60s. Well south of Toledo, we're talking down toward Route 224 from Ottawa to Findlay, over toward Tiffin and south into Wyandotte and Crawford County. Temperature-wise now, we are starting to drop very quickly. There's the mid-40s, Port Clinton, Norwalk, Fremont, back into the 50s, BG up to Toledo, where we had mid-60s for highs across many areas earlier in the day. We have clear skies, and I expect we'll stay fairly clear this evening with a subtle increase in the cloud cover overnight, but there's no widespread issues as far as wet weather. We're expected to be dry or mainly dry much of the week ahead. It'll be a cooler start to that morning bus stop forecast. Chilly conditions right around the freezing mark, 32 degrees, 40 degrees or so for outdoor recess, so your kids will need the warmer jackets, maybe even a hat or gloves, as it will be cooler into the afternoon and eventually reaching into the upper 40s. But that is it. We're going to put the brakes on any warm up beyond that as we have warmer thoughts of spring weather ahead. So what's the countdown now? We are down to 9 days until we officially hit the arrival of spring. That will be on March 20th, where sunset will be at 7:46. And I like to think spring vibes this time of the year. So I'm going to show you a map right now of the annual average migration dates of the ruby-throated hummingbird, something that really speaks spring to so many. They have already been detected across the Gulf Coast. That is right on average March 1st through the 15th, and they'll extend northward with that annual migration arriving into northwest Ohio, more likely right around mid-April. And from birds to fish, let's talk the walleye run, another thing that speaks true spring weather. 48 the high on Wednesday, 53 on Thursday, lower 70s by Friday. Look at that jump of about 20 degrees as we get into Friday. Now the water temperature in the Maumee River still a little too cool, right at 39 degrees. I have heard some nibbles have been out there with some walleye, but it won't really get going until we see the warm up into the 40s for that water temperature.